So you want to know how to study abroad in China, huh? Well, today we're going to share four tips, four fingers, four tips for how to study abroad. I've been in China for 10 years, so I'm going to share what I've learned and what I've heard and what I've seen. Here we go. By the way, if you don't know me, my name's Kwadwo. I'm creator here at Elementary Chinese and elementarychinese.com and Elementary Chinese on Instagram, teaching you the everyday Chinese you need to communicate what you want. If you like this kind of content, if it's good for you, consider subscribing. Now, also, today's episode is brought to you. It's sponsored by speakeverydaychinese.com. There's a link in the descriptions, but basically, head over there and save yourself time by learning only the Mandarin that matters for the situations that you experience the most here in China. Speakeverydaychinese.com in the descriptions below. So, the four ways that you can study abroad in China if you want to learn Chinese, or I don't know what your reasons are, but here's the four ways. Number one is what I did from 2009 all the way up until 2018, this year before I went full-time teaching Chinese online, which was I taught English in China. Teaching English in China is a great way to study in China because, well, in your free time you can study, and while you're working, you make money. All you really need, if you've never taught English before, is your TEFL degree. That stands for Teaching English as a Foreign Language. Or if you're from like Europe or a place that has a certification, you can get your CELTA degree. Those are really simple. I recommend getting like a 100 or 120 hour degree from a credible website. Probably take you 4 to 5 months if you're quick, and then you can just go and apply. There's plenty of websites online that you can apply to for Chinese jobs in China, or you can just apply for a tourist visa, like at mychinavisa.com, link in the descriptions, and fly on over on a tourist visa. Once you hit the ground, you can find a Chinese school that's hiring. Make sure they're going to give you a work visa though, and usually they'll help you get a work visa if they're a good school. And then you are off to the races. If you're joining right now, welcome. We're gonna do Q&A this time for real. At the end, we're doing how to study Chinese in China, and I just told you how to get here. Another great site to go to that can get you a job and walk you through all the paces, that way you know you're going with a very trustworthy company, is Career China. I'm partnering up with them. You can go down to the link in the descriptions and find out more about Career China. I've actually been to one of the schools that they place teachers in called First Leap, and man, they're just a bunch of positive people. They're good vibes. You'll see me in some of their videos, and you'll also see some of their people. For example, Rachel, if you see my live streams with Rachel, she works for Career China. At any rate, head down to the descriptions. You can teach English in China with Career China. Now, the second way is also the way I first studied abroad in China. Now that is through your university program. If you're a college student, which I was a long time ago, you can study in China that way. All you have to do is go to your study abroad office and apply to a study abroad program. Now you've got to figure out how long you can study. You know what? I don't even wear glasses. I'm supposed to, but I don't. I hate those. So depending on your major, you can study for 1 semester, 2 semesters. I had a major from the University of Washington, linguistics. They let me study for 2 years. So I went ahead and studied in Beijing at the Central University for Nationalities in 2 years. Study abroad is pretty simple if you're a university student. The third way is if you're not a university student, you can enroll directly in a university in China. Contrary to popular belief, you don't need to speak Chinese to get a degree in China. There are plenty of degrees here in China that are 4-year degrees, and they're in English. Who would have thought? You'll still need to apply to a university, obviously, but they're a lot cheaper than in the US. You can afford it. Also, if you do plan on doing a major in Mandarin, which I recommend, it's going to be you're going to have to take a little extra time studying Mandarin at a language course before you enroll in the university. By the way, now would be a good time to give me a thumbs up if you like this information I'm giving you, because it keeps me going. So, yeah, you can choose so many degrees in studying English. Also, you can get your master's degrees. Now, there's one thing I need to say. If you're from the US or Europe, be careful about the kind of degree you get in China because not all degrees from overseas are treated with the same weight or the same importance as degrees in your home country. So do your research. Know your end game. Why are you going to study at a Chinese university and what can it get you in the future? If you make an intelligent decision, then you won't find yourself regretting it in the future. If you want to hear about somebody who's studying Chinese, getting their master's in Shanghai, I did an interview with TJ. Click or tap the card up there as it pops out and go watch that. Also, even just last weekend, I was speaking at an event in Beijing and I met a handful of people who were studying getting their master's in global affairs at the prestigious Tsinghua University in Beijing. Pretty cool. Let's see, looks like I said everything for studying at a university. You don't have to know Mandarin. Here's another thing you can do, and this is something I didn't do, but plenty of people do. You can enroll directly in a language program at a university here in China. It's not a degree program, but most of the universities in China have language programs and you can study full-time. Full-time means 20 hours a week. You can do your written Chinese, your spoken Chinese, your grammar, and those programs give a visa. Oh my gosh, you do need a visa to study here in China. You need a visa to do anything here in China, unless you go to like Hainan or Hong Kong. Then you can travel through. At any rate, you can enroll directly in a university language program like at Beijing Language Culture University. You can find that online, and then it's pretty simple. I recommend going to a smaller city than Beijing. Beijing, Shanghai, these tier 1 cities, there's tons of foreigners here. You're gonna get caught up in the big foreigner party. Go to like a tier 2 or tier 3 city. If you want a list of those, Google tier 3 and tier 2 Chinese cities and they will hook you up, because I like Google. The fourth way to study in China is at a language school. This would be a private institution. For example, I live in Tianjin and there's a language school called New Century here in Tianjin. They will also give you a visa. However, you need to study full time and have 80% attendance or above. Some of the benefits of studying at a language school are that the class sizes are smaller. And also, since it's going to be a smaller program than at a university, they have unique experiences available. So choose wisely. Again, I studied at a university study abroad program. It was a sister program with the University of Oregon and some other Oregon schools back from University of Washington days, and it took me to Beijing. I enjoyed it, but you know, I got a language tutor also and studied outside of class. I've seen people study here while they taught English, again from 2009 until just this past summer when I quit my day job. I was teaching English in China. It can be really lucrative and you can study in your free time. Also, click or tap that card up there. I interviewed a guy named George Christopher. He launched his acting career here in China and he did it while studying and teaching English here. He also traveled along China solo. So question of the day. What else do you want to know about studying in China? Leave a question in a comment below. Why? Because it benefits not just you, I'll respond, but it also benefits the Chinese community at Elementary Chinese. We want to learn from each other. So I don't see any questions. Let's end this now. If you want to watch another video from Elementary Chinese, me, click or tap the screen down there. And if you want to see how I pass the HSK, which is the Hanyu Shuiping Kaoshi, you need this test if you're going to study at a university in China, or if you want a better visa for the long term. Click or tap up there. This is Kwadwo, Elementary Chinese. Good study. Day up.